Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a two-day visit to Laos PDR on 10th and 11th of October, during which he will be attending the 21st ASEAN-India Summit and the 19th East Asia Summit. Now, Laos is the present chair of the ASEAN, and Prime Minister Modi will visit Vientiane on the invitation of Laos PDR Prime Minister Sonsai Sifondon. Let's decode the significance of this visit with our eminent experts, Dr. Satoru Nagao, joining us live from Tokyo in Japan. He is the non-resident research fellow from the Hudson Institute. Thank you very much, Dr. Satoru, for joining us. To begin with, for us, for the viewers of DD India, if you could just outline the significance of this summit vis-a-vis timings of it, because we do know that India is marking a decade of the Act East Asia or Act East policy this year, and has been very, very vocal about its equations with ASEAN nations, and the way we say that they are central pillar of India's Act East policy and also India's Indo-Pacific vision.
Yes, so thank you very much for inviting me to think about how important this summit and for India and for the regional country. In this case, we cannot forget one important thing. This region is emerging region, rising region, especially economically. So that's why in the future, this region will be the center of the world politics. Indeed, already this region has a big impact towards the world. That's why connectivity between the Pacific side, Indian Ocean side will change the world. That kind of the potential is exists. But at the same time, this region is under threat. The most important threat is if China continues to rise. This will be China-dominated region. That's why India's role is very important.
Okay.
It is very important because India can neutralize China's influence in this region. Especially, where is the center of the Indo-Pacific? Southeast Asia, geographic. So that's why this summit, ASEAN Summit and East Asia Summit, this is a good place to talk about whole region in the Indo-Pacific. That is the reason this is important.
Right. Having said that, you know, Dr. Satoru, the two summits, we're looking at two important summits, ASEAN and East Asia. Now, they are understood to be the main mechanisms for India's engagement with that part of the globe, with key bilateral partners, particularly the way we have intensified our ties with Singapore, with Indonesia, with Thailand and with Vietnam, and also given to understand Prime Minister Modi's recent engagements with his counterparts from Vietnam and Malaysia. How do you see this as a big opportunity for India to consolidate its position in ASEAN rubric particularly?
India's influence in the ASEAN is emerging. Of course, thanks to the Prime Minister Modi's Act East policy, India's engagement is promoting. And especially in case of Vietnam, which is a traditional partner of India, it's a key view from security. Because China expanding influence in South China Sea and Southeast Asia, in this case, the first frontline country is Vietnam. But now, not only Vietnam, India support Philippines also, providing BrahMos missile, which is strongest arsenal Philippines possess. And then Malaysia, traditional partner with India, and Singapore, of course, regional center, which Singapore is a small country, but view from the GDP, view from the information, Singapore is shows the leading role. And the most biggest influential country in the Southeast Asia is Indonesia, which shares a border with India. So for a long time, because of this, there are some problem between India and Indonesia. But now, relation improved very much.
Right.
improved under the Modi, and so, for example, the port, Sabang port. Of course, this is the Sabang port. It's located in Indonesia, but India cooperated to develop it.
Okay, Dr. Saturo, India's role, if you could just also give us a perspective about India's role in East Asia Summit this time around in terms of building an environment of strategic trust in the region, considering, the kind of current geopolitical aspirations that we are seeing as far as different Southeast Asian nations are concerned.
Of course, the Southeast Asian nations are worrying the US-China competition because this country rely on the United States as a security partner, but they rely on their economy by trading with China. So that's why the security partner and economy partner is different. But these two countries compete in the Southeast Asia now. So as a worst case scenario, Southeast Asia will be the arena of the US-China competition. But being from small country, what kind of strategy is the best strategy? If the two countries compete and both sides suggest a good deal for them, that is best. But worst case scenario is two elephant fight on their ground, which is the grass will suffer this competition.
Okay.
So these two good best part and worst part. These small countries need to deal with the situation and to avoid the worst case and get best benefit. That is their strategy. So in case of India's ruling under such kind of situation, India can suggest a little bit alternative choice for them.
Okay.
The public survey in the Southeast Asia, popularity of the US and China is declining, but India's popularity is rising.
Okay.
And Japan, Australia also. So, and in this case, view from...
that point of India's popularity rising, could you just elaborate how do you sense this shift under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India?
Yeah, that is a very important part. This question is very important because under current situation, US is under election, Japan is under election. So who can lead this region? In this case, India has already overcome the election. India can show stable leadership. So that's why India is good friend with the US, Japan, Australia. That's true. But India is most strongest stable leader this year. That's why India's role is very important. And so Southeast Asian country, when they talk with India, this is stable and it will be fixed. It will be a fixed for them.
Yes.
But when they talk with the US and Japan, because of the election, this is uncertain.
Okay. Since you talked about the election season, now we have Indian Prime Minister riding high on that huge mandate given the current third consecutive term. And this also happens to be Prime Minister Modi's 10th attendance at the ASEAN-India Summit. And that kind of explains India's rising popularity, quote unquote, in your words, in the ASEAN scheme of things. Having said that, Dr. Saturo, the areas of engagements between India and ASEAN ecosystem that may likely to see an upswing this time around. What's your understanding on that?
Of course, the ecosystem is very important. The stable supply of the energy, stable supply of the material they need to trade. This sea level communication is including in this area. So these was very important. But under current competition of the great powers in the world just now, they are worrying about this kind of stable economy, vital communication line, trade line, energy supply line, supply chain also. So that's why India-ASEAN cooperation is very important because it could be the stable because still their area, maybe huge conflict hasn't happened. So that's why this is a good chance for India, for ASEAN, both. So this is important.
Okay,
So
shifting
to create
focus.
ecosystem.
Yes, Dr. Satur, I'm sorry, I'm really running short of time, but just quick last question. There's so much to talk about. Shifting focus to East Asia Summit, which brings together the members of the ASEAN with key dialogue partners, such as Australia, China, Japan, Russia, US. How do you see the role of these dialogue partners in this current edition of Summit?
And that's a controversial issue because, for example, the US and Russia or the US and China, both they are competing now.
Yeah.
Of course, Japan, Australia, US side clearly, and India is a good friend of the many partners in this case.
Yes.
So that's why if we include all countries in one conference, indeed they cannot decide anything. So that's why the exchange of opinion, sharing information is possible, but indeed the most important conference is not the conference itself. Our side event is most important. Side event, bilaterally, trilaterally, quadrilaterally, they can meet and agree something. But in the big conference, which includes both sides of the competition, this means that it is very difficult to agree something.
Okay, we'll leave it there, but really appreciate you joining us all the way from Tokyo in Japan. Thank you very much, Dr. Satoru Nagao, for sharing your perspective on ASEAN-India Summit. Thank you. Namaste. Thanks.
Thank you very much.